I would like to dedicate this particular video to the African Americans who have taken the DNA test, especially the African Americans who have the genetic link to the Mafa people of Cameroon and who are actively seeking knowledge regarding their ancestors, their history, and their culture. So this video is for you. We're going to discuss the book that was written by the Minister of Employment and Vocational Training in Cameroon. The book is actually written in French, so just bear with me. I had to do some translation from French over into English, and it's basically in English saying the Mafa, one people, one culture. And we can start off with the dedication page, which I love. I have a lot of notes and sticky tabs about it, but he did a dedication page which was very interesting. And he did this page and basically this entire book to give the younger generation the drive to preserve their cultural identity. And in this dedication page, he dedicates this book to his spouse, Monique, and also his children, Rachel, Margaret, Samuel, Damaris, Emmanuel, Benjamin, and Steve Isaac, aka Junior. Junior is my favorite. I met Junior in person. I also met Damaris in person during my pilgrimage or my journey to Cameroon in order to find out about my Mafa lineage. So that was an awesome experience, and they were very hospitable and just very nice. So this book was actually dedicated to the younger generation and also to the children of Zacharie Perevet. Mostly going to talk about in this particular video the thank you portion, the preface, and also the general introduction. We're just doing a couple of sections in this particular video, but in the preface, it opens with this question. If you translate it into English, which is really interesting, it says, where are we? Where are we going? But first, who are we? What are we, or where are we going as a group of people? And we can't know any of that information until we know where we're from, until we know our history. So the focus is on what can we do to get our history in order to move ahead as a group of people. What also is the main theme within this this whole area here is the theme. To me, it spoke to me saying, know thyself, know thyself. So to know thyself, it says one must seek the sources of the culture of the Mafa people. That's the only way to know who you are, is to actively research. From page 20 to 21, I like to point out that it says the Mafa people are located in the far north of Cameroon and also in the northern part of Nigeria. And this area that's in the north has vast mountains, as you saw on some of the videos. And it talks about the climate. It's actually very rainy during the period of May to October, and it's dry from November to April. And it says here in the book that April is an extremely hot time in the northern part of Cameroon. Then it goes on to talk about the economy, which is very interesting, of the Mafa people. And it says that the economy is mostly based on agriculture and livestock. Yeah, I've seen millet, and you can see that on some of the videos where it was made into beer, fermented into beer, and then also used for fufu. On page 25, where I'd like to highlight something that's interesting, it says, during the rainy season, animals such as sheep and goats are placed into separated enclosures. They do their best to separate the animals. Basically, a pig will be in a pig enclosure, and a goat will be in a goat enclosure. On page 29, it talks about, actually page 29 is one of my favorite passages in the book. After it discusses the origin of the people, it talks about the migration. So as a result of the population explosion in Sudan, many Mafas migrated to the Sahara, that was at that time still green and luscious in the 6th century. But with the drying of the Sahara, populations continued their move towards the south, and what brought them later on to what they called the Lake Chad Basin. And for, during struggles of leadership and infighting, it pushed the Mafas and other populations into what we call the current part of Cameroon. So it's kind of interesting when you look at that some people are citing that the Mafas migrated from East Africa, from Sudan, during the 6th century. And then as the Sahara started to dry up, the population continued their movement onto the southern part of Africa and landed, after a lot of quarrels and fighting and other things that were going on with the population, they finally landed in the extreme north of Cameroon. And another thing that was a major thing that caused the migration is the Islamic invasions. So some Mafas, due to Islamic invasions, were converted basically and ended up choosing Islam as their religion, which is kind of devastating. So, and we will wrap this up before closing this video by talking about the colonial period and the effect that Christianity had. We'll go on to do this section, part 1, in another video, but we're wrapping up the general introduction. So in the colonial period, Christianity was introduced, and the good part about Christianity for the local population, it allowed them to keep their language. So Mafas did adopt Christianity, but failed to make the difference between the cultures of the Bible and their own identity. So by converting to Christianity, many Mafas systematically lost traditional elements of their life, like sacrifices, dances, and festivals. So that's the end of the beginning of the book, and I feel it fed me. So I would hope that by me providing you this information, that it also gives you some food for your soul, and helps you to understand who you are and where you're going as a group of people. It's just interesting that the book says that we migrated from Sudan, and that we started someplace other than where we ended. So even though a lot of things were lost along the way, I think that we're doing our best now at this point to recapture the things that were eroded, that had lost due to a lot of life events. So be on the lookout for the next video, which will cover chapter 1 of the book. So thank you very, very much for your time, and I look forward to you viewing my next video in regards to chapter 1 for the book. Thank you for your time.